It's the CalebDMTG show.
Nice. Stretch my legs a little bit. My computer didn't restart. I got a fresh Mountain Dew. Room temperature. Oh boy. Not as good. Wish it was cold. That's okay. Argentum Masticore. 5 mana for a 5/5 Phyrexia Masticore. Is it sucking up bodies? Looking at the art here. Kind of looks like it's like sucking things into the vent. And people are like, ah, no, I'm getting sucked into the vent. They're like trying to grab the person getting sucked in. That's good.
Shit, what up?
Good stuff. Good flavor. Tasty, tasty. Hey, Alex, thanks for the sub. Thanks for 41 months then. How's it been? 40 months? Yeah, how has it been? Getting old, Alex. Getting old here. Thanks for the sub. Giving him a big hug. Well, I think the body's getting shredded. First strike, protection from multicolored. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a Argentum Masticore unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. So this thing's vindicating stuff for free, which is awesome. It does incentivize you to play cards that cost a bit more. You know, you want to make sure that you can kill things with this consistently. But it's also on a fucking 5 mana 5/5, so your curve's not stopping at 3 with this, right? You are inherently playing more than that. Yeah, it's a sweet limited card. On turns that you're just discarding a land, though, it's not doing anything. But you can certainly, like, discard your junk commons to blow up some better cards. And the first strike, yeah, the first strike's relevant. Will this see constructed play? What about in Modern? Is our Karn decks interested in this? Probably not, huh? It almost seems like something that Eldrazi Tron might be interested in, but I think not quite. I think not quite is the gonna be the verdict there. If you discard a land, can you kill a token? Destroy target non-land permanent with mana value less than or equal to. Yeah, you can kill a token if you've been a land. Discard Squee and get Squee back. It's an actual Vindicate every turn, huh? You like it in Vintage? Like in a Workshop stack? That's sort of interesting. That's sort of interesting. We're getting a little deep in the weeds, though. With the prototype creatures in Standard. What are the prototype creatures in Standard? Oh, the ones that you can play for cheaper. And then when you discard, you're gonna be able to like blow up anything because you're discarding like a 10 drop or whatever the fuck. Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know how many of them are standard playable. I haven't been following standard as closely as I should be. Alright, Atraxis Skitterfang. 3 mana for a 2/2. Phyrexian Insect. And this battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. Oh, what about... I'm sorry. What about Pioneer? What about, like, very specifically Pioneer, with that rat deck? I guess they're already playing the vehicle on 5, huh? They already have that 5 mana vehicle that they're playing if they haven't managed to cheat it out. I was thinking that deck, like, playing like a little bit of recursion, huh? Playing a little bit of recursion, might mind to discard less. Just pin your fucking Parhelion. Blow up your opponent's fucking vehicle. You almost want it to be able to discard immediately instead of being an upkeep trigger in regards to blowing up your opponent's things. It's like almost more interesting if the downside is greater. Alright, Skitterfang. 3 mana for a 2/2, enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. Beginning of combat on your turn, you may remove an oil counter from Skitterfang. When you do, target creature you control gains your choice of Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, or Lifelink till end of turn. It's a lot of different abilities. Even just jumping things is kind of sweet. And Lifelink's a great limited ability. I think this card's great, right? You just throw this in any deck. Spread some abilities around. I think this is like not an embarrassing first pick. You could even take it over like slightly better cards, like a quality removal spell. Pack one, pick one, because you get to stay open. You get to see what signals you and the person to the right of you sends you. Yeah, it keeps you open. This card should not be going late. You're gonna see this card go late and you're gonna be like, how? It goes in every fucking deck! Giving Flying and Death Touch is good. I think the most important ones, because it has to be happening at the beginning of combat. If it was instant speed Death Touch, I think that would be like sick as shit. You could just like serve with your team and they can't block anything without their stuff dying. But I think the important ones here are Flying and Lifelink for limited. It's nice to have the other options, but I think those are the key ones. Those are real good limited abilities. Death Touch is just alternative flying. Yeah, sort of. Death Touch is like what you put on like your shitter flyer. Your opponent's got like a fucking 5/5 flyer, and you need to get your shitter toxic flyer in or something, and then you Death Touch it. A little niche in that scenario, huh? Basilica Skull Bomb. 1 mana for an artifact. Sacrifice a draw card. Oh! It's an actual Mirrodin spell bomb thing. Look at all those holes on its face. There's a fear where people that have like lots of fear of like a lot of little tiny holes like that. There's some conditions where like bugs will lay a bunch of little eggs and it'll look like that in your skin. Just like that. Trypophobia. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Terrifying. Yeah, you're never gonna be able to look at this card without seeing that now. Get the heebie-jeebies. Stop talking. This is my stat review. This is what I'm doing. I talk for a living. That's why I'm so good at it. A lot of holes of phobia. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's continue reading the card. 2 and a white, sacrifice it. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end turn. Draw a card. Activate only as a sorcery. Oh, sick. Both of the abilities draw cards. I don't think this is quite an Urza's Saga grab in older formats. It is really cool that both of them do draw cards, though. Sweet limited card. There's a few different cards that, like, not only get bumped up from having artifacts in play, but also from having artifacts come into play. So having cheap playable artifacts that cycle. Kind of sweet for those. Draw Skull Bomb. 1 mana, sack it, draw a card. 2 and a black, sacrifice it, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw a card. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. I mean, they're both good, but this is a good one. What was that card? Like, recover or something? It was just like 2 and a black sorcery, return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, draw a card. Just like one of the sicker recursion spells ever printed. Like, shows up in like cubes sometimes. Oh, sweet. This one, I think, is like borderline interesting for some Saga decks, huh? If you buy your Tarmogoyf or whatever the fuck. In some ways, it is better than Recover, yeah. If your opponent nukes your graveyard, you can still sack it for value. Skull Bomb, emphasis on the bomb. What if Divination also triggered artifact stuff? Yeah, what a sick common, huh? Love it. Love it. Looks like he's got a bit of a nose slime going on, though. Someone should give this head a napkin. Dune Mover. Getting everybody to the movie theaters. See the new Dune movie. 2-mana 2/1 Phyrexia Golem, Toxic 1. When enters the battlefield, you may switch your library for a basic land card. Shuffle and put it on top. Sure. So in terms of fixing, I think this ability is like super trash, right? But it does have Toxic 1 on it, so that's kind of nice. It is an artifact. I'm gonna set where artifacts matter. The only time I'm excited about this ability, this like non-value fixing ability, is if I'm like literally splashing Atraxa. like my mana requirements need to be very intense before I'm excited about this ability. It is a May at the worst, yes. But a 2-mana 2/1 with like no abilities is not something you're excited to play, right? Worse than Skittering Surveyor, yeah. Skittering Surveyor's got that value. Skittering Surveyor is like always good. Drawing a card, even if it's land, drawing a card is great. We've had other 2/1s though, Rich's Lion, and they were not exciting. I don't think adding Toxic 1 suddenly makes the card exciting. But it's fine. It's closer to fine. The Filigree Silex, 2-mana legendary artifact. Tap, put an oil counter on it. Sacrifice it, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value equal to the number of oil counters on it. Or tap, remove 10 oil counters from among permanents you control and sacrifice it. It deals 10 damage to any target. Okay, cool. So we got a new Ratchet Bomb that can also, like, do oil stuff. Any of y'all into oil play? I feel like in Limited, it's not that hard to get 10 oil counters. It's a little bit awkward for Constructed because a lot of the other oil cards that look interesting for Constructed are like aggro cards. And aggro doesn't necessarily want a Ratchet Bomb effect. 10 damage though. 10 damage though. You can have 2 in play. Oh, you're saying you can crack. Oh, you can't have 2 in play is what you're saying. Yeah, which is where you could, with Ratchet Bomb, you could run them all out. Because this is legendary. It's kind of relevant so you don't have one, like, juicing up oil counters, and then you remove them with the other one. You don't get to the 10 damage quite as fast. You can't just play Filigree Silexes to get the oil count, really. What is a Silex? Look at the fucking art. It's this weird. It's like a shitty bowl. It's a bowl with holes in it. I don't know. You could put something in there. You put some shitty flowers, or like a towel. You could put a towel in this bowl. Groot. You could put Groot in it. Potpourri. It's a gravy boat. I don't think this would be great for gravy. A colander. It doesn't look like a very good colander either. The holes are too big to like strain stuff. Nice as a hat. Excellent hat, I agree. Colander, but only for thick noodles. You have multiple colanders for like different sizes of noodles. This is my thick noodle colander. Yeah, card's cool. Fun take on Ratchet Bomb. It's gonna feel so bad if you ever get fucking 10'd by this thing. It's gonna feel worse than like a kicked fight with fire. It'll happen less too because it's a rare. Furnace Skull Bomb. Hey, we got another Skull Bomb. 1 mana, sack, draw a card. 1 in a red, the cheapest one yet. Sacrifice it, put 2 oil counters on target artifact or creature you control, draw a card. Activate only as a sorcery. This is the worst one so far, right? I can get you closer to the 10 damage from Silex, though. Nice having these two right next to each other. I wonder if they ever adjust card names to have them appear next to each other, like complementary cards. This is the worst one. It's the worst one unless you need 2 oil, huh? I can see that happening in Limited. So far, it's definitely worse than these other two, though. These are more, like, universally applicable than the Furnace. You could almost make it cost 1. Oh, but then I guess the first ability wouldn't make much sense. Grass, Unstoppable Juggernaut. Jugs! We got a Jugs. 8 mana for a 7/5. Attacks each combat if able. Juggernauts you control can't be blocked by walls. For all those Juggernaut tribal players. Other creatures you control have base power and toughness 5/3, and are Juggernauts, in addition to the other creature types. Okay, everyone's a Juggernaut player, apparently. I guess I should have kept reading before I got snarky. Should have read the whole card, Caleb. Now you look like an idiot. Yeah, this card's sweet, huh? Just fucking turn the team into a bunch of fucking 5/3s. I kind of love this. I don't think it's quite good enough for Vintage Cube, as much as I like big ol' honkin' artifacts in that cube. Which is a shame, because it's kind of got the Vintage Cube aesthetic. Harkening back to old workshop decks with Juggernauts and stuff. Cowardice that it's not a 10/6. Oh, that'd be hilarious. Yeah, it should be a 10/6. Remember when Juggernaut was good? I do remember when Juggernaut was good. I remember when they first printed Lodestone Golem, and I was like, this is 2 fucking good cards stapled together. This is way too good for Vintage. Just like saw the spoiler, and I was like, this seems too good. Fucking instantly restricted. You think this card will abandon Legacy? This one? No way. You're wrong. I'm gonna just tell you that you're wrong. No need to quote you. Very forgettable, terrible take. Alright, Acreplate Golem. 3 mana for a 2/3. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it has 1 or more oil counters on it, put an oil counter on it. Creatures you control with oil counters on them get +1/+1. Oh, you're just joking that Juggernaut was banned. Gotcha, gotcha. Well, silly me. Oil Lord, yeah. It's an uncommon too. So we're gonna see it a lot. Card seems great, right? Oil them up! God, I love that. The oil mechanic. I love how it's got like how it impacts all the card art. All the card just has this like black fucking oil sliding around, dripping off of everything. Some nice horror elements, huh, coming out of those eyes. Oh, I found out I've been saying Iker wrong. It's Ikerplate Golem, not Ikerplate. I'm ignorant. Please forgive me. Ichor. Exactly, Harry the Monster. I have Loneliest Monk, but the good news is Loneliest Monk, you already kind of look like a fool, so No harm, no foul, right? No harm, no foul. Hey, we got another one of them skull bombs. I'm excited about these things. 1 mana. You can sack it to draw a card. 2 and a green, sacrifice Maze Skull Bomb. Target creature you control gets +3/+3 and gains trample. Draw a card. Yeah, this one's fine, huh? Kind of comparable to the white one, giving +2/+2 and flying. Black one's still the best. We haven't seen the blue one yet. If the white one gives flying, what's the blue one gonna do? Hopefully something fucking sick nasty. You like this one with Goyf? Like for Saga to go grab? Yeah, I think with Urza's Saga, you're just always getting the equipment, right? The +1/+1 and trample. You already have like the rare. You already have the rare version of this effect. It is cute that it goes to the graveyard to pump Goyf, but usually Saga decks don't have trouble getting an artifact in the bin. Mirren Safe House. 3 mana. As long as it is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all lane cards in all graveyards. So this could be like both halves of the Dark Depths combo, right? Wait, no. Because the 2020 land, the trigger part isn't an activated ability. Yeah, it doesn't work. What does this work with? This one's vintage playable. Is it? What are you doing with it? Good with Lotus Field? It is sweet with Lotus Field, yeah. Have a sweet mana rock, 3 mana tap for 3 mana. Tolarian Academy? Yeah, but you'd rather just like have a Tolarian Academy, right? Fetches? Having a 3 mana fetch sounds terrible. It sounds rancid. Saga. Does it work with Saga? Because Saga says it needs to have the counters or whatever to like get the ability. I don't think Urza's Saga naturally has any abilities for this to copy. If only anyone in my chat knew if it worked with Saga or not. Just like one person. Oh well. I guess we'll never know. You'll never know, right? Call me Clint? Oh well. Can regenerate rats with Swarm Yarn? Well, that's pretty good.
Oh shit, what up?
You're not convinced this is vintage playable? I am also not convinced this is vintage playable. I'm not convinced that it's playable in any fucking format. Hey, Mortifin, thanks for the sub, thanks for 64 months. I'd love to be wrong, though. 3 mana for your Thespian stage? Yeah. There's probably a situation where, like, being multiple lands works, though, right? I don't think it works with Dark Depths, because Dark Depths is counters based, right? And it's a triggered ability, not an activated ability to become a 2020. Yeah, if it just had all abilities from lands, this would be like kind of sweet with Dark Depths. That's not the case. Yeah, the important part of Dark Depths is the passive. You would have no ice counters, and it would also lack the ability to be sacrificed to make a 2020 when it has no ice counters. Because that's a triggered ability, not an activated ability. It would get the ability from Dark Depths for 3 mana, remove an ice counter from it. It would have that ability on it. So if it somehow gained ice counters naturally over the course of a game, then Dark Depths' ability would be very useful for removing those. You want a Karn for it and Pioneer Green if you have a Nykthos in the yard. Hey, that's juicy. One more card for Pioneer Green. Great in Legacy Loam Lands decks. Why would it be great there? How is it worth a slot? Isn't it just like worse than a land in all those decks? Literally any deck that I can think of, I'm just like, isn't the land just better? Except for like, as part of a Karn tutor package. Another Wasteland? A 3-mana Wasteland? We already have Stone Rain. Why would you want this? Griffin Canyon Mutavault. Have it turn itself into a fucking griffin and pump the shit out of itself. Make it infinitely large. Mana positive with Scorched Ruins. All right. You just think it's neat? That's totally fine. All right, Monument to Perfection. Let's move on. 2-mana artifact. Oh, don't play that in limited either, by the way. Don't play it in Safe House in limited. Monument to Perfection. 2-mana artifact. 3-mana search your library for a basic, a sphere, or locust lane card. Reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle. Okay, already better than Journeyer's Kite. And then 3-mana Monument to Perfection becomes a 9/9. Excuse me? Loses all abilities. And gains Indestructible and Toxic 9. Activate only if there are 9 or more lands with different names among the basic sphere and locust lands you control. Oh, okay. So that's not happening very often, is it? You mostly have a Journeyer's Kite here. But yeah, if you're playing like one of each basic, then you need 4 different lands to be also sphere and locust lands. I don't know how doable that is. We haven't gotten to the land section yet. But yeah, I think you mostly have a Journeyer's Kite. Journeyer's Kite's a good card though. If you have the time to activate. Infinite value, huh? When you become perfect, you just murder everything. Yeah. When you finally achieve perfection. 9/9, you're dead. Perfection. All right, Mere Convert. 2 mana for a 2/1, toxic 1. Taps, pays 2 life, add 1 mana of any color. Now that's a sexy fucking fixer. That's a very attractive fixer. I would do favors for this Mere Convert, that's for sure. Humble, obedient, and tireless. Mere require little modification to excel as servants of Phyrexia. Sweet. I'm into it. You know it's not a selfish lover either. You can see it right there in the flavor text. Yeah, any color getting a fucking universal fixer here. A playable universal fixer is pretty sweet. 2 life is steep, but you don't have to fucking activate this every turn, right? In limited, you're probably only activating this once or twice. Rape you 1 turn, fix you another turn. That's probably all you're gonna need. And if you're in a game where you just don't have the mana and you need to repeatedly use it for fixing, then it's still better. It's still better than not having that color, right? You still get to play Magic. You have to pay some life to play Magic, but that's better than just not playing Magic. This card's good. Take my life total. Yeah, suck my soul out of my life total. Mere Custodian, 3 mana for a 2/3, artifact creature Mere. When Custodian enters the battlefield, scry 2. Then each opponent may scry 1. This card's fine, huh? Not exciting. Blocking stats. We've had that 2 mana 2/2 where like both players scry 1 a lot. And every once in a while you play it when you like really need a 2-drop or you care about like artifact synergies. It's like not the worst thing. This one at least you get to scry one more than them. Makes it a little better. I need another creature, yeah, exactly. Good old 23rd card. Mere Kinsmith, 4 mana for a 3/1, artifact creature Mere. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a Mere card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Oh, that's sweet. A little bit of value. A little bit of value. Doing a quick Mere check for what we've seen already. There's a couple comments in there. Phyrexian Atlas. Ooh, this art appeals to me. This would be kind of a sick back tattoo. I like all the fucking the different colored stars and moons and shit. That's great. That's so good, actually. I need a print of this. All right, 3 mana, taps add a mana of any color. When it becomes tapped, each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters loses 1 life. Alright, well, that's kind of a bummer. I was hoping for, like, some sick-ass Coalition Relic thing. You think you saw that art card at the burn? Yeah, right? Yeah, it has that vibe about it. Get it tattooed on my butt so the Realm Breaker lines up with my anus. Is the Realm Breaker the Dark Sun? Is that what that one is? Looks like Emrakul. It does kind of have that. It does kind of have that going on. Yeah, this is like the sickest fucking art ever. It's not this like common, I guess. It's not a bad limited card. Not a bad limited card at all. That's a solid role player. I shouldn't let my disappointment show through. Yeah, really cool art for a Manolith. And the Corrupted is not irrelevant either. Like having your Mana Rock start dinging them in the late game is solid. Prophetic Prism. Wow! There is a lot of universal fixing. Rewinding to that Atraxa card, I was talking about, like, if you could get the fixing, like, it's definitely worth playing, and I'd, like, be trying to get the fixing. A lot of these, like, heavy mana cost cards are feeling much, much fucking better. Now that I'm, like, actually looking at the fixing that's in the format. Kaya, way, way better. Way more doable. Like, you could play Kaya and play another color pretty easily with fucking Prophetic Prism and Phyrexian Atlas at common. Hell yeah. You're gonna be fighting people for prisms, people that care about artifact matters stuff, comes and play stuff. Prosthetic Injector, 1 mana. Equipped creature gives +0/+2 and has Toxic 1, equip 1. Oh, that's kind of sweet. Not busted, not a super early pick, but not bad, I don't think. Prophetic Prism is a reprint, so I don't need to talk about it a lot, but it has showed up in Constructed. Has showed up in KCI type decks before. Artifact decks. Yeah, nice cheap equipment. It is interesting that like Toxic 1 and a buff, like not exactly great together. I think it goes well on Death Touchers. Kind of like the Death Touch Toxic 1/1/3 that we've got in this set. It's kind of like just turns a regular Death Toucher into that. Put this on the Vigilant creature? Sure, yeah. The Vigilant Flyer. I don't hate that. Rib Skiff. 4 mana for a 4/4. That's a Ferryman. It's a Ferryman vehicle. I don't think we should trust it. Toxic 2. When enters the battlefield, draw a card. Oh, never mind. I'm trusting. I'm trusting again. I've learned to trust. True 3. Yeah, kind of reminds me of the, I mean, we had something very similar to this, right? It was a 4 mana 5/5. When it came into play, you would draw a card, and you could crew it for 3. This is very similar. But now it's got Toxic 2, and it's a 4/4 instead of a 5/5. This card's good. You can draft it. Draft it pretty aggressively. Draw a card, huh? Soulless Jailer. Wow. I wonder how much of this art was in the art description and how much was like the artist getting creative. Because this looks cool as shit. Really effective. You see the little people trapped inside it, like struggling to get out. There's so much emotion there. With the people struggling, not the jailer. The jailer just looks intimidating as shit. 2 mana artifact creature, Phyrexian Golem, 0/4. Permanent cards and graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. Yeah, so I mean, it's not crazy that this is a rare. It's not like a terrible hoser or anything like that. But I don't think it's gonna see eternal play. There's just too much, right? You already have Grafdigger's Cage, which is tutorable. Maybe this is better decks that are playing Chalice of the Void. Maybe if you have a Chalice of the Void deck and you want a Graveyard Hoser, maybe this makes sense. Maybe you want this instead of Tormod Script. Permanent cards and graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast non-creature spells. Yeah, so it doesn't stop Uro. I think Bimp's right about that. Because Uro, as part of casting it, exiles itself first, right, to put it on the stack. Oh, that'd be from exile. But yeah, it just goes... Yeah, no, it does stop Uro, right? Yeah, but it's not in the graveyard. Wait, what? Right. I just tripped myself up like 3 times, alternating between the 2 different abilities. I knew what it did, and then I like reread it and mixed them and didn't know what it did again. But I'm good, I'm back now. Uro is a creature spell, yeah, so the second ability doesn't impact it at all. Uro threads the needle, exactly, yeah. Antagok. Tutorable with Chord. Soulless Jailer? Sure. Chord decks. The only Chord deck I can think of, though, is Yogg, though. And this hoses Yogg. Because it turns off Unearth. Yeah, I just don't see a home for it. Good card, no home. Staff of Completion. Ooh, I love this card already. 3-mana artifact Mythic. Tap, pay a life, destroy target permanent you own. Alright, well that's not a great ability. Pay 2 life, add 1 mana of any color. I know I was excited about that on a 2-mana 2/1 uncommon. That's not really like thrilling for me here. Pay 3 life, proliferate. So you can activate that like twice without it becoming scary. Pay 4 life, draw a card, and then 5 mana untap Staff of Completion. Alright, I'm no longer excited about this. This is kind of a lot. This card's kind of a lot. This card's a little too close to me. This is a bit messy. Not worth, I don't think. Like, you can play it, but you're just only going to get a few activations out of it. I actually think the uncommon 2/1 is better, because you activate it a couple of times and then you still have a 2/1 body. In a really slow sealed matchup, you can draw like 2 or 3 cards out of it. Sylvan Library it up. It's not going in Commander. I mean, in Commander, you have a lot more life to work with. Paying 5 to untap seems unnecessary. Yeah, it should be 6 life on tap. 10 cents in 3 months. I think you're probably right about that. With Shieldred, it's only pay 2 life to draw a card. I mean, that's kind of exciting. EDH card for life gain specifically. Yeah, maybe. Pay 4 life, draw 2. Pay 4 life, draw 2 might be a little too good. Maybe there's just pay 3 life, draw a card. Like, if you removed a life, if you removed 1 life from all of these, from all of the pay, just like down the line, strip 1 off, then I think the card starts to get exciting. Not broken either, just exciting. 1 mana to play this? 1 mana to play this and you have a busted card. Because then you have a 1 mana rock, right? I think at 2 mana, this card would be great. In EDH. 2 mana, add a mana of any color. Or 2 life, add a mana of any color. And then have the option to like proliferate and draw cards. Yeah, 1 mana this would be busted. At 2 mana it'd be good to great. And at 3 mana it's just like not interesting. Not interesting at all. Alright, Surgical Skull Bomb. Let's read this one. 1 mana, sack it, draw a card. 2 to blue, sacrifice it, return target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. Activate only as a sorcery. Well, that's fine, We've had a bit of that. We've had a bit of that in Limited. The 2 and a blue, bounce something to the opponent's hand, draw a card. It's target creature, you can't bounce your own things. It's an artifact for artifact synergies. Not replacing Ether Spell Bomb in Saga decks, just because like the activation's too clunky. Yeah, so far the only one that I thought was like a little interesting as a Saga tutor was the black one. Potentially for grinding. You buy your Tarmogoyf for whatever the fuck. Plenty good enough for Limited though. Only as a sorcery, it's barely good. No, it's good, it's good. Sword of Forage and Frontier, 3 mana. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from red and from green. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. You may play an additional land this turn. Equip 2. So, I tweeted about this card. I think it's good. I got a lot of interesting takes. I think it's not only good, I think it's like better than sort of Feast and Famine for pretty much like any cube. I think it is worse than Sword of Fire and Ice. But starting to get close to it. I think Sword of Fire and Ice might be the only one that's better than it. So the cool thing about this card, like the first turn you hit, you're not necessarily getting value, because you're probably like tapped out to play your thing and equip. So you're not necessarily getting value, but if you hit a land, you still just get to play it that turn. You're still drawing a card. Remember that you can't play them until the end of your next turn, so you gotta play them this turn. But a card that you can compare that to is Chandra, the 2-red Chandra. 0 mana, fucking play it now. That's good. If you want to tap with a Chandra, that's the ability that's winning you the game, right? Drawing an extra card per turn. And this is drawing 2. 2 cards. Yes, I know it's not literally drawing cards. But that's going to vary people. 2 cards is a lot of cards. The abilities do synergize, yeah. Doubling mana is pretty good. In Cube, the issue with Feast and Famine in Cube is that not every deck can use it, right? The extra mana. I like Feast and Famine in Vintage Cube, very specifically in a deck that's got evasive creatures, so you can connect. And then also wants to hold up mana, so I think it's good in decks with counter spells. By comparison, this card is going to be nutty in any deck. This card is going to run away with the game. Cool, Cody. I have also trophied a bunch with Feast and Famine. You're saying it's like very good with Saga though, just to untap it. Get extra tokens. Cube, you'll defer to me. What format did you think I was talking about? They're all worse than Fire and Ice, right? Pro Black over Pro Red? I'm not even sure about that. They're both removal colors. And Pro Green's solid because it lets you like get your hit in on against the mono green deck. The cool thing about red and green as protection colors is that mono red and mono green are both archetypes in Cube, right? Currently, mono black is not really an archetype. +2/+2 is often good enough against red removal. Yeah. Kind of depends on what you're equipping, right? I've certainly been bricked by the Pro Red on Fire and Ice plenty of time. Red and green can answer artifacts easier. So you're saying black is more likely going to get destroyed by simply not being able to answer? I can kind of buy that argument. I can buy that. But yeah, I think the on-hit effect with this one, very easy to underestimate. It's going to run away with some fucking games. Equipping is harder versus red than versus black? It's probably pretty similar, right? Yeah, connecting with this one, I think is like maybe about as good as connecting with the blue-green one. And the blue-green one's not in a removal color. Like, if you hit someone twice with the blue-green one, they're probably dead. But then you've also got the backfire case of, like, them being reanimated or being breach or something. And you're, like, helping them out sometimes. Still very good. And still very good to, like, threaten to kill some two-shot people. But it's kind of hard to lose when you get to draw 4 cards. When you're not only connecting, but you're drawing 4 cards and playing extra lands and shit. Anyway. So I'm excited about it. I hope it shows up in Vintage Cube. I want to play with it. Tablet of Completion. 2 mana. Artifact. Tap, put an oil counter on it. Tap for a colorless. Activate only if Tablet of Completion has 2 or more oil counters on it. And then tap. 1 mana tap, draw a card. Activate only if it has 5 or more oil counters on it. So this card seems slow as shit. Those are all good abilities. Except for the condition, I think if you removed like pretty much all of the oil things, I think if you removed 1 oil from the cost, this card would go from 2 slow to great. It does need proliferate bad. And that's the thing, because it's a proliferate set, like everything is kind of costed like that. Everything is like 1 away from being good. 1 away from being exciting. Put more oil on it with a Staff of Completion with proliferate. I guess. I guess that's a combo. Zenith Chronicler, 2 mana for a 3/1 rare Phyrexian Construct. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. So you probably don't want to play this with multicolored cards. Yeah, I don't think I'm excited to open this. As a rare in my limited pack. It seems kind of not good. 2 mana 3/1 is like not terrible, but You're just unlikely to get value from it. At least it beats, I guess. You don't know who this is for? I mean, I think it's for, like, colorless EDH decks, right? You think it looks silly in Commander? Does it? Your opponents play spells. A bunch of people draw cards. Maybe it's for group hug decks, huh? Are those decks that people actually play, or are those just decks that people talk about? That seems like the least fun. You never seen one that someone would play 2 weeks in a row? Yeah, right, I'm rando. Like, you kind of do it and get your jollies and then, like, never want to do it again. The lands are here! The Autonomous Furnace, Land Sphere, it has battlefield tapped. Or you can pay 1 and sacrifice it, draw a card. Well, it's not terrible, huh? Not terrible to put some of these in your fucking deck for the 9/9 thing. We got reprints. Blackleaf Cliffs, Copperline Gorges. Man, I should have fucking shipped my Blackleaf Cliffs a long time ago. Were they like 40s or something for a little bit? Because Modern Red Black was nutty. Like back when, like, I think it was back when like Jund was the deck to beat or something. And now they're gonna be like $2. Be actual nothing. The worst thing is that I have extras too. I had like 3 extras I could have shipped. Not that I'm excited. Not that I'm upset about a reprint, of course. These are sweet. Cool new art. Dark Slick. One of my favorites. One of my favorite lands ever. I actually top-8'd. I actually won a Legacy Open with Dark Slick Shores in my deck. Instead of Polluted Delta. I was playing it instead of over Polluted Delta and over Water Grave and what. Basically, I was playing a deck that wasn't playing Brainstorm because I was a blue-black Chalice Void deck. And most of my action was happening in the first 3 turns. I was doing like Ancient Tomb into Talisman stuff. So even though I had a chonky curve, I was doing like turn 3 Wormcoil Engine stuff, turn 2 Tezzeret, that sort of deal. And so rather than play a Polluted Delta to fetch for Underground Sea, I was playing Dark Slick Shores instead. Not get stifled, not pay a life, that sort of thing. It was fine. I wonder if I'm the only person with a Legacy Open win with Dark Slick Shores though. I think I've got a few individual card records for Legacy specifically. Dross Pits. Same as the Furnace. Just a sphere, sacks, draw a card. Yeah, these are all solid, kind of similar to having a cycling land, except that you can play it early and then sack it later. If your deck is kind of aggressive, you don't want very many of these. Maybe 1, probably 0. But most decks are going to be happy to play a couple. Mirrex, Land Sphere, tap for a colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if Mirrex entered the battlefield this turn. Or you can 3 tap to create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. So the ability to fix, but only very temporary like, There's a couple times we've seen something similar to that. There's the colorless comes to play tapped land that generates mana when it comes into play. May have any color, and then it just has their colorless after that. That one's shown up in Modern a little bit, but it's shown up very specifically because Primetime tutors lands into play tapped, and sometimes you want to like tutor a mana. So this Mirrex doesn't do that. Doesn't do that for you. The other card it kind of reminds me of is Tendo Ice Bridge. It's like it can fix, but just the one time, you know. And then it's got this little might generator attached to it. The opportunity cost for putting this in your limited deck is pretty low, so you should draft it pretty often. Not over like a core card that your deck needs. It's a lot less busted than a lot of cards that spit out tokens, because again, these cards can't block, right? So you can't just sit there and use them to chump every turn. It's more like you slowly generate an army they can potentially attack with. What do I think about Constructed Standard? I don't know much about Standard right now. When I evaluate cards for Standard, I'm like thinking of, would this card have been playable in other Standard formats I've played, you know? Which isn't worthless because, you know, a new set's coming out, the Standard's not going to look exactly the same anyway. But I'm not as informed on that as I could be. Looks great in a top deck war. Yeah, I mean, anything looks great in a top deck war, right? But that's the thing, like the opportunity cost of putting the Mirrex in your mana base is pretty low, so you should probably just play it every time. But yeah, like I said, less good. Less good than if you could make something to block with. You remember that one that spat out 1/1s? You'd have to like pay a life to make a 1/1 or whatever, but then you could sack 5 creatures and it would flip into some fucking obnoxious 9/7 flying, lifelink, indestructible, fuck your face, haste thing. My god, now that was land. That was land, I tell you what. Better in the equipment decks. Mirrex here? Yeah. Yeah, good in the equipment decks, and like White's already doing the token swarm thing. Again, thinking about limited. I don't know if this card's gonna show up in constructed. I don't know if that's good enough. The Monumental Facade, land sphere. Enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters. Taps for a colorless, or tap remove an oil counter from it. Put an oil counter on target artifact or creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery. Interesting. Yes, you're not going to get this card in limited very often. So you should mostly be evaluating this for constructed play. And I guess if you're doing constructed oil stuff, this is a card you want, You got the artifact that you can tend somebody. There's a few creatures that do cool oil things. This card fucks with Proliferate. It is kind of nice to have something that can just like chill and play and collect Proliferate value without costing anything. They are spheres, yeah. We've only encountered one thing that cares about spheres, right? The Kite Sail, the can tutor for them. The Mycosynth Gardens. Taps for a colorless. 1 tap, add 1 of any color. Oh, nice little filter land. X tap. Becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. Oh, permanently. Oh, that's a sweet one. trying to think if there's a constructed deck that wants this one. Most of the decks where copying a artifact is interesting. Don't really give a shit about the mana filtering. Turns into LED. Yeah, that's kind of hot. A land that can double your LED. LED doesn't. So it becomes the LED, right? And you have to tap the gardens to copy the LED. But LED doesn't give a shit about that. LED does not tap to activate. So you can play this as your land drop for turn, and then just like pay 0 to tap it to copy LED and just like have a second LED. Turns into Amulet. Yeah, I could see that. The Amulet decks can tutor for it too. A second Black Lotus? I think Black Lotus has to tap. It's Def gonna see play in Modern. Are you talking about Amulet specifically? Transmute for a second Amulet? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I could see playing this in Storm combo. Just to copy Lion's Eye Diamond. I think I could see it. What other deck would want to copy Lion's Eye Diamond? I think it might just be Storm. You want to copy Mox Diamond? I don't hate that. I don't hate that. It's like it's not amazing though, right? Because Mox Diamond is just a land, and you're using a land to copy another land. You see what I mean? Urza Echo. I think the best Echo decks are not playing Urza currently. But yeah, like the Draw 7 deck. Good extra LEDs, I guess. I think the Mono Blue Wheel deck doesn't really need extra LEDs so much as it just needs the first LED. And I think the mana in that deck is already a little iffy. Because you're trying to play Narset, and then a bunch of like Ancient Tombs and shit. I don't think you can afford to play Mycosynth Gardens. Yeah, can't copy a card construct. Non-token. Would I play this in that KCI deck? I don't think so. I thought about that. But that deck's like a brew, so I didn't want to get off too deep into the weeds. But the mana base in that deck is so tight, right? Not being an artifact hurts it a lot. It can copy Saga for free. No, it can only copy artifacts. Saga's an enchantment. Yeah, Phyrexian Dreadnought's an option. Phyrexian Dreadnought hasn't really been tier in Legacy for a while, but certainly an option. Kind of cool to have it in the mana base. Maybe you don't have to play Torpor Orb anymore. We just have this as a land. Anyway, cool card. Worthy of discussion for sure. A few more reprints. The Seed Core Land Sphere. Taps for colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast Phyrexian creature spells. Well, that's like the whole fucking set, huh? Corrupted. Tap, target 1/1 creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Yeah, that ability is a lot better than it looks, huh? In this limited format, it's not hard to give someone to 3 poison counters. This is rare, though. So whether it sees constructed play is gonna be dependent on whether or not there's some kind of Phyrexian poison thing happening. You think Listener Elf looks happy? Does it? The issue with this in like Modern and Legacy, in fact, is that you can't cast your spells with it. That deck kind of wants to be able to like play spells, right? Non-creature spells. It's like actually got a critical mass of pump effects that it needs to tap its lands to pump with. Maybe you play one of these as a target for a crop rotation. Even then, Pendelhaven taps for green mana. Seems so much better. When do people have 3 or more poison counters versus infect and are still alive? Well, sometimes it takes a couple attacks. Cool, and then we got Terramorphic Expanse. Yeah, a lot of nice colorless mana that everybody has access to in this limited set. Ooh, full Borderlands. These are kind of cool looking. It kind of looks like this building is pissing. It's like a spider pissing out of its legs. Ooh, I like these Phyrexian lands. I saw the secret lair for Phyrexia cards, and I hated it. Because I kind of like being able to read cards. And this big fucking wall of text. And it's got like unique arts. It's like, well, what the fuck is this? Your Ink Moth or whatever the shit. Hate it. Hate that secret lair. These lands are fucking sweet, though. You don't need to read a fucking basic. It's like, oh yeah, the thing with the sun on it. That's a plains. Really clear. Really cool looking, too. Yeah, these are awesome. I like the little faces. They'll have their own little faces. Oh, the 2 skulls facing off. A little mouth down there. You hate it? You hate the piss spider? I think the piss spider's sweet. I wasn't dissing the art. This is what it reminded me of. Not enough teeth in the white one. You've been looking into the AI art too much. you've been yeah. Cool. Well, that's it, folks. That's the whole fucking set. So in terms of commons that I think might see play in older formats, I had Dross, Spellbomb, Tyvar was an interesting one for Legacy and Modern. Hey, Sendorian82, thanks for 28 months there. I was less high on Nahiri than some people, but I could see it being good. Modern Hammer Time or something. Or I guess Pioneer Hammer Time. That's the format that people play that fucking deck. A lot of really good fixing in this limited format. I'm a little higher on Glissa than I should be. Seems like a nightmare to deal with. Gets to attack into like anything and draw cards and kill stuff. I kind of want to try this out in Constructed. This one was interesting for Constructed play. It was like a combo piece. Or potentially just like standard Toxic if it's a thing. And this is real sexy. I kind of hope this one shows up in Vintage Cube. I like the current Nissa a lot, but I wouldn't mind trying this one out. She seems good to me. I think people are probably underrating the Green Sun's Twilight a little bit. Contaminator, obviously a standard card. It seemed like people were overrating Flamestoker too. People were like, oh shit! Something less than 7 mana to draw 4 cards? We just need oil though, huh? We're doing oil aggro. I guess you want it. Yeah, Bomat Courier it is not, was my verdict. It's like a bad Treasure Cruise, and that card is sick. Sort of. It's like Treasure Cruise if you had to like play the spells for Treasure Cruise after you... It's like a Treasure Cruise with like weird suspend. Not actual Treasure Cruise, but like you have to suspend the Treasure Cruise and then every spell that you played afterwards would make it cost something reasonable. Treasure Cruise you can draw off the top and be like, oh, I can play this because I played spells this game. That's not what's happening here. Yep. I think this limited format's gonna be sweet. I think I'm able to do some cool shit. We weren't sure on All Will Be One, whether it'll see standard play or not. I think it's gonna be too clunky, but it is a powerful card and powerful effect. Probably better in limited than people realize. All Planeswalkers, pretty fucking sweet. Well, most of them are sweet. Brass is certainly sweet. Fucking nutty and limited. Happy to see Arena back. Happy to see Obliterator back. Sweet reprints. Necrosquito, looking pretty fucking nutty and limited. The Rat King. This might be the card that I'm the most excited about in this limited, not in this limited format, but just in general from the set. I think, which is probably a little casual on my part, but that's fine. That's fine. Play it in modern. Use modern rats. Some Ether Vial thing. With Pack Rat and stuff. Swarmyard. It can draw up to 5 rats. It's a someone called it Ratter Fiction. 5 cards? You get all the rats? How does anyone beat that? How does anyone beat that? It's so many rats. Commander? Yeah, maybe I'll fucking make another Commander deck. Right now I've got 2. A mono black one would kind of fit. Maybe unsleeved. Unsleeved fucking rat tribal. I was a little disappointed with Black Sun's Twilight. Mostly because I've got an attachment to black cards though, I think. Yeah, blue's got some sweet ones too. We talked about Spell Dancer a lot. It's a potential legacy or modern card. I'm higher on Jace the Perfect in mind than most people. I think I'm gonna kill some people with that fucking card. In limited and modern. Maybe historic. Microsynth looks like shit. There's a few stinkers. Blue Sun's Twilight is not one of them. That card rules. White Sun's Twilight rules. You do want to play it for X's 5 though. You want to get that sweet, sweet Wrath value. I wasn't sure about Hive. Still not really sure about it. The new Mother of Runes, despite being legendary, despite taking life, costing life sometimes, pretty good, still pretty good. White Obliterator. Cool. The Modal Edict is your favorite card? I thought it was fine. I mean, it's a good edict. It's certainly a good edict. Usually edicts kind of suck, but that's a good one. Because you've got like a few different options with it, it's very rare that you get your opponent's worst card, which is kind of the issue with the edicts a lot of the time. So that one's like actually limited playable, something that I'm happy to put in my limited decks. And people were talking about it for like Legacy and shit. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Just because the Sudden Edict is so good. Uncounterable is such a good ability, right? And it's hard to compete with that. Nice to be able to hit Planeswalkers, yeah. Nice to be able to hit Dark Depths, even if the opponent's got like a Elf in play or something like that. Like the Sudden Edict, you play it and they're like, alright, sack my Elf, whatever the fuck, who cares? My Nether Reliquary or what have you. That can certainly happen. But the fact that the sudden one is so good against Murktide, the fact that you can just be like, nope, sack your thing, they're staring at their handed counters like, hey. That's kind of nice. What cards would I like to see in Vintage Cube? I think I mentioned those. I like the Black Spell Bomb. What else was there? We talked about Elish Norn for Modern. For the Fury Solitude decks. The Omnath decks. Probably one Elish Norn or two. Pitching to Solitude's nice too. Which one's my favorite card regardless of formats? I just talked about that as that fucking rat thing. Easily favorite card. The Edict would be a fine one for Vintage Cube. I think Jace is almost a little too good. I think the mill might kill people a little too quickly in comparison to Ashiok. So I might not include that in any cubes. Spell Dancer is a little harder to get to work in Limited. It's a little harder to get to work in Cube than it is in Constructed, but it's probably still good enough. Probably still a good enough card for Vintage Cube. The Edict would be fine. I think Archfiend of the Dross would be fine. I'd play that card. Fuck people up with it. There's a lot of really cool art. This one's probably good enough for Vintage Cube. Spell Dancer should replace the 2/1 copier card. What's the 2/1 copier card? The Rat King. Oh, the ETB kicker one. I like that. I like that swap a lot, actually. Yeah, it feels like that card doesn't copy things very often. Yeah, the Edict would be fine. Oh, I talked about Nissa. I thought Nissa would be exciting for Vintage Cube. So we were talking about turn 2ing people with Hammer Time with a Scamp here. Turn 2, put a hammer on it, hit them, sack it, and deal them to the other 10. Didn't excite me, but some people were excited about it. About the idea. Seemed a little cute to me. A lot of the creatures in Hammer Time like have evasion or some other useful ability or something. They're not just carrying a hammer. This one would be just carrying a hammer, right? It's kind of like playing a double striker in Hammer Time. Yeah, I was down on Koth. Oh, I thought the 7-drop green creature was interesting for Vintage Cube. Tyrannus Rex. Just the idea of like natural ordering for it like kind of quickly, or powering it off Cradle pretty quickly could be good. Especially if you've got other like green beatdown creatures in your cube. Well, there's a few of those, right? There's like questing beasts and stuff in the current Vintage Cube. I think swapping out Avenger for Tyrannus Rex would be an upgrade. I think that'd be a step up. The best 7-drop is probably the one that makes a 4/4, disenchants things, or has a shield counter though. The one that sees Pioneer play. That's probably like the actual card that should be in, but I do like that Rex just fucking kills people. It's kind of hot. Yeah, Titan of Industry. Titan of Industry is probably just what should be in that slot. But I'd be happy to see this one too. The Green Crucible. For Vintage Cube? Nah. Just like playing one spell from your graveyard per turn. That's not a Vintage Cube card, I don't think. Are you excited about it because it's got like the Crucible effect stapled on? I could see swapping out Loam for it. Loam is also something that doesn't see a ton of play. Loam is cool with like random loot effects and stuff, but it's so fucking miserable on Magic Online. Like asking you to return to your hand every single turn or whatever. You're talking about Conduit of Worlds. Yeah, Vintage Cube might be like the one place where this could find a home, huh? Simply by working with the fast bond stuff and then also potentially rebuying permanents. It is kind of cool that it's a Crucible that also does stuff. If you're not doing the Crucible thing. People play in Commander? Sure, yeah, no, it seems like a fine Commander card. I buy it. I buy the Vintage Cube argument. Mentioned this already. Atrax is not embarrassing. I've reanimated worse. Yeah, we discussed Atraxa for Legacy Reanimator, and now it's just like not holding up against Grizzlebrand and Archon. But in Vintage Cube, you don't often... I mean, there's only one Archon, there's only one Grizzlebrand. You want more things than just those things. So it's kind of interesting. Hard to cast and ramp or whatever, but I think it'd be a fine reanimation target. The fact that it like draws cards and stuff too. Yeah, get Niv the fuck out of there, huh? Can we cut Niv for Atraxa? Atraxa's cool enough. Upgrade. I think Glissa would be sweet. I don't know what you're pulling for Glissa, but I do like it. Most of these walkers are kind of iffy. Oh, I like Malcator. The cool thing about Malcator is that it is a legend, so you can bounce it with Karakas and just like spit out 3/3s every turn. Also not impossible to get the second ability in Vintage Cube. Have a few more artifacts. Right, I'm discussing cube through this whole run through. What archetype is my first pick and draft? Huh? That's not a useful question or discussion. It's always going to be pack dependent. Especially when I haven't played the format at all, right? Why would I have an archetype preference before actually trying it out? I feel like that's actually a very common question that people have when they don't have enough time to actually like go through the set and study it and stuff. And they're going to the pre-release and they're like, "What's the best color?" And it's like, well, that you really shouldn't be like trying to build based on like what some random on the internet tells you the best color is. Super not a useful piece of information for you. You're gonna be looking at a unique sealed pool, right, with its own unique strengths and weaknesses, and should be building based on that. Impossible, Cheppy. Again, why would I have a preference without actually trying it out first? Some of the stuff could be way more fun than others. I won't know until I actually get to play with it. You want to slow bad in standard? Doesn't sound great to me, but the best of luck to you. The best of luck. Well, I think that's the review. I think we recapped the important formats, discussed each card in detail. If you missed part 1 of the review, it is up on, it's up in my VODs currently. The VOD has been published. And I will be pushing the sections up individually onto YouTube. So you can always go back and find specific segments if you're curious about the discussion for specific cards and what have you. Some nice back and forth with chat on all of those. All right. I kind of want to do a Dominaria remastered draft.